patrol. Hey, 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 we off the patrol.
They hit you.
It broke me ordered a Trayvon Martini. It broke me open.
No.
And I still,
Yes.
like she said, something.
And the black bartender.
Oh, you really refill me too, huh? Okay. So, let me go
Garbage
ahead
embarrass me,
and...
No.
Garbage.
Never embarrass me.
Too much. I think to shut up.
Fuck everybody else. If they
Shut
can't
up.
deal with
If
it.
I need to shut up, say things like that.
Oh my gosh, welcome. This is Herspiration Happy Hour, episode 16, and I have really no idea what to say about this one other than the fact that it is the Queen's takeover, and they're already off the chain, and I'm already drunk,
Well,
and they made breakfast.
Yeah,
It's really
wanna
nice.
do it.
because the gays brunch.
That's right. So normally we do happy hour, but this is like a brunch happy hour. But you know what happens most at brunch? Drinks.
Hello.
So
Hello.
we're going to introduce our guest today. We have Dr. Vic Jones Jr. in the house. Say hello.
Hello, everyone.
All right. We also have Vin Testa in the house.
Hey.
And our guest host, Chadwick Jump.
Yes.
And he's snapping and everything. Okay.
I'm gonna be doing that a lot. We need like the fan popping too.
No fans. A detriment to our community.
And we also have our bartender in here today, which is Ramon Hill.
What's up, fam?
All right,
Yeah.
tell us what we're drinking today besides a whole lot of things that we've already had.
So our signature cocktail is American 69.
Hey! 69 in the house.
Yes.
Is that a real 69 or a 69? 69.
It'll get you upside down and inside out.
Oh
All
God.
right, and in the back now and again, you might hear Miss Ebony Graham that's up in the house as well.
All right, Em.
Yeah, she don't want to come to the table, but it's okay. And so with that, I'm gonna let the guests tell about themselves. Who wants to start right now?
Vin wants to start.
I can start.
Okay, Vin, let's go.
So I am Vin Testa, originally from Connecticut, but have been in the DMV for about 7 years or so. I'm a teacher. I teach math at a public high school in DC, and I am also the president of a church board for Dignity Washington, which is an LGBT Catholic organization, and I play kickball on the side, which is fun.
All right.
Yes.
All right.
I am Victor Jones.
Who?
Victor Jones.
Who?
I'm Dr. Victor Jones.
Doctor.
Yes, doctor. I have a cough.
I'm originally from like Elsinore, California. Nobody's ever heard of that, but that's where I'm from. So I recently got my PhD in clinical psychology. Been playing kickball for 2.5, 3 years.
Right.
I've had the privilege of playing Vin a couple times.
Yeah.
And the privilege of beating Vin a couple times.
Don't do this.
But I'm super excited to be here, and these drinks are fucking phenomenal. And let's do this.
All right. Come on, Ramon. Let's go.
So my name is Ramon Hill, originally from Chicopee, North Carolina, aka Duplin County. Right now we're going through a crisis where my township is underwater with the Hurricane Floyd, so please send your prayers out for my friends and family down there. I am a consultant with a large firm in the Washington, D.C. area focusing on employee engagement and learning and development. And I have been in Washington for about 8 years, and within my 8 years I decided to join Stonewall Kickball to really embrace myself into the gay culture, gay sports culture in Washington, but also to identify a community where I could find friends. And within that I found Vic, and then Vic has been my coach for kickball for a couple of years, and we have enjoyed kicking ass around the community.
Okay. And I'm going to turn this here. We have our co-host in the house who will be the main host of tonight's episode, Chadwick Jump. Let's go, Chadwick, with your... See, I love this Fabio bun. You all are not seeing it, so you're going to have to check out the extra, the background, video on our YouTube page. But Chadwick, introduce yourself.
All right, so I'm Chadwick from Georgia. I am a returned Peace Corps volunteer where I served 2 years in West Africa, and I worked in agriculture and health. I currently work for the federal government. I've been in DC for a little over 2 years now, and I'm in my last semester of graduate school at Georgetown.
Hey.
So we'll see what the future holds for me in December. After I graduate, I'd like to go back abroad and continue to do some work. So right now I'm focusing a lot, like my research and stuff is on like LGBTQ refugees, and particularly men that have been sexually victimized and that are fleeing, and working on programs on how to help them. So we'll see what happens.
Wow. Tell you what, we got some superstars in the house.
Hello.
So we're going to get the conversation started, and I'm so grateful that this time I can just enjoy my drinks because I'm going to pass the mic to Chadwick. So let's go with our Herspiration conversation.
Okay, well first I'm going to make sure that I have on my Delilah voice.
Yeah.
I want to have that video
Delilah.
where you just want to sit on the sofa and snuggle with your loved one, have a cup of tea or cocktail in your sweatpants. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
So, I'm going to get this started with you guys, and each one of you can tell me like when you came out and when you did come out, what challenges, if any, did you face coming out? Like, was your family and friends accepting? Were they not? So you can just share that with everybody. Ben, you want to start?
I can. I came out when I was 20. I was a junior in college. Everybody already knew. So that presented an interesting but easy process for me.
Yeah.
I remember I was an RA in college, so I was like on duty in the dorm, sitting on like a Saturday night or something.
I was sitting on a dick. I was like,
Like that's what I read. Like that's.
I hate my fucking roommate. Oh, that's my roommate.
All right.
And all right, sorry, a resident assistant.
Okay.
Other people may call it something different, but bottom line was I was in charge of a floor in the dorm, and I had to be on duty like however many nights a week. And on this particular night, it was right around the time when everybody was posting on Facebook like 25 things you don't know about me or something like that.
Yeah.
So like, of course, like the last thing I was like, I like boys. So I posted it and then went to bed. No lie, it was like 2 o'clock in the morning. I was finishing up my tour of duty. And so I woke up the next morning and I just had like this pit in my stomach. Even though the only reason I did finally come out was because I knew that everybody knew. But it's still like this, I'm a big proponent of coming out in your own time. And so that was my time. I finally felt ready, but I still woke up like this big pit in my stomach. And I went into the dining hall because it was attached to my dorm. Praise him. And I know. And I just remember this one girl in particular. Her name is Courtney. Shout out to Courtney. She came right up to me and she said, I want to let you know that nothing has changed and I love you and I'm so happy for you. Oh, and that was huge. And I think I'm very lucky growing up in New England in particular. It's so liberal. I mean, my family was phenomenal. I consider myself very lucky. And so when I hear about other stories, I count my blessings. And I had a phenomenal time. There were some little instances, but nothing that was a detriment, and I thank God for that.
Yeah, because like you made a good point. Like coming out, like even though you already know, like that people know, coming out is for you. It's for you to finally. It's like a metaphor, like spreading your wings and flying, because you can finally be open with yourself. You're comfortable with yourself, and you're comfortable enough to tell other people, like, this is who I am.
Yes.
And I want you to love me because of that.
Yeah,
I
and
think it's very
Go ahead.
courageous to do it through Facebook.
I actually, that's one of my regrets.
Yeah.
I actually regret doing it online. I appreciate the fact that I grew up in a time where that's where I could do it, but I almost feel like part of me regrets it because I felt as though, you know, while it was easy to make an announcement on that platform, I feel like I was hiding behind a computer. So I do struggle with that.
So what was
I
going-
see it. Sorry.
Sorry, what was going through your head before you hit send, and how long did you hit? Wait, how long did it wait before you hit send?
Yeah. Oh, there was some time. Because, like, I spent so long. I told you it was part of, like, this long post of, like, all these things you don't know about me or whatever. And so I had spent a long time thinking about just the general list, knowing that at the end, that's when I was going to stick that part in. But, yeah, I would say that like, at least a couple hours on it. And really wondering. And then when I press send or post or whatever it was, like, there was like this release, absolutely this release. But I wanted to go back to what you said a little bit about when so part of my role in the schools, like now today, is training my colleagues on working with LGBTQ identifying youth. And one of the things I always tell them is it is never your right, your job, your duty to out someone. That is not, it is never going to be your responsibility. It is never going to be your choice. That is on the person who is coming out. And you said coming out on your own time, and that's what I needed.
Right.
And so I can't even tell you how many times a day, well, I mean, not a day, but how many times I've told people, that's not your right. Don't you dare take it from someone.
Yep.
Don't you dare.
Wow.
100% agree.
I have to tell you, the only thing that got to me really in this story, I mean, other than the fact that one, it was powerful, is the fact that you had Facebook. That really tells. That tells my age. I'm like,
It tells the generation,
You say you came out on Facebook because I'm thinking, girl,
Right.
you know you like me. You was MySpace.
Right. Well, don't get me wrong. I had a MySpace.
Okay.
I had a MySpace. But Facebook was towards the end of college for me. That's when
I'm just
Facebook
saying.
kind of overtook MySpace. But I mean, even just having social media in general.
Yeah.
I mean, it made things so much easier. But again, I also felt like a little bit of a coward.
So you know
I
what?
wasn't-
Because you talked about choosing your time to come out on social media, and it breaks my heart a little bit. It makes me sad. I recently read a post about a little boy in school that
Yes.
came out and then he committed suicide because
9
it was
years old.
talked about.
Yep. 9 years old.
Yep.
And those kind of things bother me because, you know, you came out in your own time. He came out in his own time. And so in that aspect, what would you say to someone who
Yeah.
has, you know, to me, I feel like partly does a parent really know? I mean, before you
So-
come out to your peers, do you come out to your parents? I'm just
I
curious.
think so. I did not, and that's part of my regret. Is I felt like part of my cowardice was not having the conversation one-on-one with my parents first.
Okay.
I was also away at college, so I had that veil, like I had that ease of not having to go home and telling my parents first or whatever. Not that they would have accepted it regardless, but. I also have talked to several parents as an educator, and one thing I do mention is like the boy was 9, so like for me, I find it amazing but also crazy that somebody so young could be so accepting of themselves and like ready to say that young, because I know how long it took me. I mean, times are obviously different, even, 10 years. How long have I been graduate college?
Let's not go there.
But anyways, even in that time, times have changed so much that I still marvel that a 9-year-old could come out and
So
understand
when did
that.
you know you were gay?
Oh, I know
That's
I
the
was gay
question
when
I
I was
get
like,
asked a lot,
my first
right?
kiss was a boy when I was 5.
Wow.
Yeah, my neighbor.
No.
Yeah, if you look back
But
on
was
your
he
life,
gay or was he?
No, I don't know.
Okay.
Today, I still don't know. I haven't kept in touch.
Because as we know in psychology, we call it like age appropriate, like exploration. Like,
Yeah.
We look at each other. What's your
Right,
look
right.
like,
You look,
what
yeah.
You have.
Show me
This
yours,
is
I'll
why
show you
this.
mine.
And
Right.
it doesn't necessarily mean gay. It doesn't necessarily mean you've been like sexually assaulted. It's just age appropriate. It's what kids do.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like if you look back on your life, like you said, oh, I knew I was gay a long time ago, but it takes until you get older into a certain level of maturity, and then you
To break
look
it
at
down.
behaviors in the past. It's like, oh, I was different. That's what exactly.
To have
that's
the
what that
words,
was.
you have the words and the
Exactly.
ability, because obviously gay was used all throughout my life, but obviously it was used in such a negative connotation.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's so gay. You're so gay. You know, all
It
this
used to
stuff.
break my heart.
Absolutely. I was in middle. I had a great experience all throughout school, but I remember in particular in middle school was the time when people started saying like, "Oh, you're so fruity. You're so gay." Like all this stuff, and I was like, "No, I'm not," and I got so offended. But it's because but I knew I was. Like I knew that I was looking at other boys in my grades and like much stronger than I was looking at the girls, but I didn't have the maturity, but also the language to really accept it. So,
So, as a woman, I can tell you that one of my very, very dear childhood friends, and I say childhood because we go way back to 3rd grade, it was never spoken, but we knew.
but you knew, yeah.
We just knew. But I mean, and I can't, although yes, you heard the name calling, I have myself having both gay men and women in my family. It was always an accepting thing.
Yeah.
It never bothered me, so I never looked at him differently. So when he finally decided in college, I mean,
Right.
3rd grade, we graduated together. When he finally decided to say, "Hey, I'm gay," I was like, okay, it's kind of something that we knew. I didn't feel like, I saw him as an individual.
Right.
So it didn't matter to me. Much the same way Ramon and I met on a whim. I just knew. I didn't care.
Yeah.
But I think society is cruel in a sense.
Absolutely.
And I hate to use that term cruel, but I mean,
No, it
there's
is.
no other way to put it, but society is cruel because of people's personal conflictions as opposed to seeing human beings.
Yeah. And I'll break that down in 2 other forms. One, the geographical location where you grew up in.
Yep.
Georgia.
The South as a whole.
South in general, it
The
is.
South as a
I was gonna say
whole,
Georgia.
regardless
Yes.
of your cultural background. And then the other piece is, it is easier for a family or a parent to accept someone who's gay that is not their child.
Yes.
You know, but and
100%.
so even though my dad was military, so I grew up in Georgia in terms of school, but I spent every summer in Washington D.C. where I had a gay cousin. Well, both of them were gay, and a male and a female. So I saw the dynamic between both. I mean, God rest his soul, the male cousin Kevin, who's passed away now, but very present in my life. You know, my Aunt Betty was, my cousin Betty, very present in my life. So I knew, but I grew up understanding that they were people. I never knew to look at them differently.
I kind of disagree on that, or whatever the case may be, because being a parent that a child is still trying to figure out, and if that's the avenue or whatever, I feel like I'm more argumentative to other family members that may disagree with it. Like in my point in life, I just want a child to feel loved. I don't care how it comes.
Correct.
But I want them to feel comfortable. I want them to feel like it's okay to talk to me. If that's your decision, regardless of whatever religion we choose to deal with, I want you to be happy. At the end of the day, it's to be happy.
Well, now I feel.
I think that's a new parent.
But
though.
That's new parent.
That's the new
the whole
parent.
thing. That's how
That's
I grew up.
generational.
But that's how I grew up. I grew up knowing
But that's what
that.
I'm saying. I have other family members
Oh, yeah.
that, you know, it's like when I say, like, well, this is where this person is at in their life. Oh, well, then that's when I'm going to turn ugly. Because, because this is my child.
Yeah.
This is my child. They have
Okay.
enough. Like, this is my child, and you won't play with my child. And if that means losing family members that I've grown up with, and
But
parents,
should you
and
have to?
No.
it doesn't matter if you
I mean,
should. You
shouldn't
shouldn't
have
have to, but at the same time, I'm willing to take that risk because everybody just wants happiness. However you get it,
Yeah.
that's the end part. You just want to be happy.
And
I
that's
don't
very
feel like-
generational. That's
Yeah.
very generational. And we're seeing, like, my grandmother will always, she makes me laugh so hard because she has accepted me fully, and she is a phenomenal woman. She was actually probably one of the last people to know because I was nervous. But I knew even growing up that she had a gay person in her life. Her mom's cousin, so my great grandmother's cousin, was a gay male who I actually ended up finding out was going into New York every weekend from Connecticut and being a drag queen. Like it was like so it was so cool. But like it's so cool to hear that. But so my grandmother knew growing up, and so that when you have exposure to people who are gay and you are able to verbalize it, because then my family called him Jimmy Jim, and I never got to meet him, unfortunately. I at least not at an age that I remember. But when he had a partner through his entire life, so my grandmother grew up knowing him and knowing his partner, and so it was never. I wish I knew that it was never going to be an issue when I did finally tell my grandmother. But there are plenty of, my grandmother's generation that would say no. But I think it's exposure.
Yeah, so similarly, your story makes me think of my mother, actually. I grew up, the question of when
That made me look old.
I've come out.
Coming
Coming out is a lifelong experience.
Amen.
I don't think it's ever going to stop, right?
No,
it's a
I had to
daily
tell my mom at
experience.
18. I had to do it again to my mom 6 months later when I fell in love with my boyfriend. I had to convince her that it was just a stage, right?
Right.
I had to come out at work. Every time there's a new position, a new person. It's like, gosh, I have to disclose the fact that I am a homosexual man.
Yes.
But my mom, when I first came out, it was funny because we sat on the couch and she was like, asked me a question. She was, why? I had this best friend in high school. And she was this beautiful girl, and we were always together. People were like, why don't you like her? Why isn't that your girlfriend?
Yep.
And I would get so upset. I'm like, stop asking that question. I don't ask. I just don't see her that way. And one day my mom sat me down and she was like, why don't you like Victoria? We're just friends, right? And she's like, are you gay? I was like, what? You can tell me, it's okay. Are you gay? And I was like, yeah, I am. This is not okay. You know what the Bible says about this? Total
Wait, so she told you it was okay, and then when you said it and acknowledged it, she was like, "Oh no."
And I can accept that as a parent, right? Nobody wants this for their child. Nobody wants their child
At
to
first.
be gay.
At first.
But my mom is now like come full circle. Like she is like we grew up in a very, very kind of religious community, and my grandfather's deacon. He's a minister now. He's married to another minister now, and my mom is now like a gay advocate. Like she's like, don't talk to my son about gayness and blah 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 blah. Like he is who he is. Like she loves her partners, and it's so wonderful to see her like have that stance. And like, you know what it was? It was that movie Prayers for Bobby. I'm gonna drunk. I can't remember. Prayers for Bobby. It was on Lifetime, and my mom watched it. I was in college, and my mom watched it. It was about how the boy came out, and his family like pushed him to like go to church, go to counseling, and do all these things to be straight, and he ended up jumping off a bridge and killing himself.
Jesus.
And the mom, that was her wake up call, right? And so she
Yeah.
just became like a gay rights activist, and so I think my mom watched that movie and she really saw it. It was not a choice. And so now, like, she's like my best friend. I call her for like all relationship problems, issues. She gives me the best advice. So it's really, but in terms of the question, like, when did you come out? I'm still coming out.
Amen.
We're all coming out forever.
That's another thing.
It's just kind of stressful. It's kind of scary.
It's point of acceptability. I feel like it's like you always got to keep reinventing yourself. As a human being. It's like, how?
Yeah.
It's like I think my first experience was my transgender cousin, and like we grew up together, and we're best cousins now. Like that's my favorite cousin. We're the black sheep of the family. We're the first ones that are gonna get put out. Like, oh, they're
That don't shock me.
It's like they're pulling up, and I pull up. Hey, cousin, and she was like, hey, Dad. We're gonna get put out together. No matter. I got my own juke joint, so I don't worry about it. But it's like, and she was, as we parted, and I raised my children, and I had 4 kids or whatever. And we ran into each other later on in life, and we were in a club, and she was like, I saw her, and I didn't know about the conversion. I didn't know about the femininity. I didn't know that she was going to have a dress on. Like, I remember when she was little, no one never talked about it as elders, as the old people of the family, like, oh, well, you know, this such and such, like, it was a hush-hush secret thing. So then when she's like, oh, I'm your cousin, like, I don't remember you. And then she's like, well, you remember. And then when she started saying my children, and I keep my kids closer, and not too many people know about, you know, my children, or, you know, that close. I'm like, what do you know about my kids? And as we started talking, I was like, well, wait. Oh, and then I called my older grandparents and like, y'all didn't tell me about this. It's like, what is this? But, you know, as we go out and as we gotten older, like, I'm going to punch you in your face. Like, one thing for certain, one thing for sure. She's not one of these people that go out and try to hide her identity.
Nor should
Oh,
she.
and that, yeah, and we go out and we go out to the clubs, we go out to the go-go's, and she'll be like, hey, this is who I am.
Yeah.
And you want to, I even got pushed one time at a club, and I was like, you know what, you go ahead and freak up on it, and that's what you want to do. It's like, because we try to help you, but you're like, I understand.
Yeah.
And it's a hard road. So when I had my child, you know, like, maybe this is the road I want to go, like, it's just love.
Yeah. That's
what everybody wants, is just love.
It is a lifelong process to the point where it's almost daily. Because what you have to remember as somebody, and I say you in general, like you as anyone who does not identify as LGBTQ, is that the standard, at least now, is always that somebody is heterosexual until proven otherwise.
Yep.
So every day, somebody who identifies as LGBTQ has to meet another new person and mention the word partner as opposed to wife or husband. They have to say, like, you know, whatever it is. There's always a new person to introduce yourself to now have the conversation of, I'm not married to somebody of the opposite sex. I'm not seeing somebody of the opposite sex. So like, it's an everyday process.
Yeah, but in DC, like you said, everybody's
so much
straight
spoiled.
until proven otherwise.
I would say in DC, you're gay.
You're gay until
gay
proven
until
straight.
proven otherwise.
And even that is questionable.
Exactly.
Wait, what?
Yes.
You know,
Don't get scared up, girl.
and
It's the gayest place.
Gay ass city.
Super gay. Like, then that is one of the beautiful things about DC. Well, I've said there are so many frustrating things about DC, but one of the beautiful things about DC is that it is such a gay-friendly place. It is a bubble, and living here long enough, you kind of forget what life is like. Literally everywhere else. Like, as difficult as, you know, I knew being gay in the South was, I have a tendency to forget about that because I've lived in DC for over 2 years now, and I've gotten conditioned where I can, you know, sashay my gay ass down the street and nobody's gonna bat an eyelash about it. Like, you can express yourself in any way possible, and like you said, you are constantly having to tell, like, it's constantly coming out. Like, every time, like, I start a new job or something, like, I always at the very beginning make sure that I tell people or like passively that they know that I am gay, and I don't know why I do that.
But I don't feel like you should have to, because
You
shouldn't have
like
to.
if I suck a lot of dicks, I don't feel like I have to put a resume. Hey, well, I would like to let you know.
I just feel like everybody knows about me.
Honestly, like, I get what you're saying because
I'll drink to that shit. Fuck that.
I get what you're saying, but at the same time, I have such a hard time with the fact that gay people feel like they have to do that, and that it pisses me off.
But that's the world we live in.
Absolutely, absolutely, because we're outside the norm, quote unquote.
So do you think that is why? So me and you had this conversation early on, Ramon. There are those who are just themselves, whether they are, you know, they're comfortable, unapologetically gay, and then there are those who are like extra all day, got the extra walk with it, and just very flamboyant with it. I mean, you said that annoys you. You don't like that.
So it annoys me too.
But
In small doses.
but I mean, when you are extra all the time, is that somebody who is, I guess the best, I don't know how the right way to phrase the question, but is that somebody who is seeking that acceptance?
Attention.
Oh,
So
okay.
here's
I
the
was going to
thing.
say acceptance, but
Here's
you
the
know, for
thing.
people to understand where they're coming from versus, you know, because like you said, you have to, you said you have to reintroduce yourself consistently.
Yeah.
So instead of somebody having to reintroduce themselves consistently, they are just, you know what, let me just
You
do
can
the
tell.
most
You can
in
tell
order to
what's
be
genuine
present.
though.
Yeah,
you
you
can
can.
tell what's genuine. If you know, there are plenty of people in our kickball community who I could tell when they're genuinely being themselves. But when because I queen out with the rest of them, and that's how I like to say it. Like I'm snapping, sissing, girling, twirling, whatever, but you won't see that all the time from me. You will get when I'm at the, and I'm not saying I have different personalities by any means, because anybody I work with will tell you that I'm unapologetically gay at work, even as an educator. But you know, you have professional personalities, you have just
Code switch.
you code switch for sure.
I feel like
But-
it's just the energy. It's like, because everybody, like, I can be around y'all and I'm like, oh, she's calm, cool, collective, and I can go on a date and I can be real, you know, quiet and laid back. I think it's just your energy. It's like,
definitely
I
I'm
culture.
noticing
feel
myself
around
having a very
different
strong
people.
reaction to this like part of the conversation.
Okay, let's
In
hear
terms of like talking about gay men who are always extra, doing too much, and you know, bugs you. That's fair. You can have those feelings. I like that. But we also just had a discussion about like, you know, accepting people, letting them be who they are.
Yeah.
And it is a privilege in life to be who you are,
Yep.
and to have people around you say that's okay, be who you are. But so at what point are we gonna allow? Like I feel like we're like tearing this line. We're like, be who you are, be gay, be proud, come out. I have your back. I'm gonna be there for you. But don't be that gay. Don't be too
Yeah,
extra.
I get
don't
what you're
start
saying.
shame on the road.
Okay.
So are we gonna accept them for who they are or we're not?
Correct. So
And
I'm
then-
gonna tell you really quick, just so you can understand where I'm coming from with this. There are women, straight heterosexual women, who do too damn much.
Yeah, absolutely.
Amen. I know this.
They're in our bars. They're in our bars.
I want you to understand. I guess my main thing is I want you to understand the reason why I asked the question is because is it the need to be overly accepted? It's like, you know, you can't accept me, so I'm going to give you all of this. Women who don't feel like they get enough attention, guess what? They go extra.
Yep.
And
I
they're
think
hanging out in your clubs,
Yeah.
as you say.
LOL.
And
I think that we also have to consider like what it's like to be a gay person, right? And in terms of your development, oftentimes is arrested. You couldn't be out. It
Yep.
wasn't safe.
Yeah.
And so we're in a space where we're trying to discover. I think a lot of gay men and myself when I was younger, trying to discover who you are. You go to this extreme of like masculine and feminine, and like, am I gonna wear tight clothes today? And then next week I'm like, this looks too fucking much. I don't like that. I want to wear something a little looser and not look so curly
So
or
gay,
feminine.
yeah. Right.
And I think a lot of gay men, especially in people that we're come in contact with, are so struggling with that, trying to figure out where do I fall? Who
Yes.
am I?
Yes.
Who am I? Not only in this world, but who am I in a group of gay men? Who am I
Right.
in a group of black gay men, white gay men? Like, where do I? And like, who am I going to be? Like, and it's hard because you want to be proud of yourself and you want to like immerse yourself in gay culture. And so it's really easy, I think, to like go to the extremes.
Yes,
and
you're absolutely
be
right.
too much. And I don't think it's like you're trying to get attention. I think you're just trying to really figure out who you are and what works for you.
Yeah.
But also, you're in a safe space, and you know that you can do
Yeah,
this.
it's your
You
energy.
can do
Like,
that.
if I feel comfortable enough, then I'm
So-
gonna snatch my wig off and I'm like, hey,
But again, it goes back to I don't know how to use genuine
just
as
say
a
it.
noun. Genuine is it? Nope, I'm not gonna try. But you can tell. Bottom line, you can tell when someone's being genuine. You can tell when right. I'm a math teacher.
Yeah,
not
not
an English
English,
teacher.
yes.
You could tell when people are being genuine. So I just think that like I think when you have somebody who is discovering themselves, that's still genuine. Like you can see that. Like there are plenty. Now, mind you, I haven't reached 30 yet, so I just reached a ripe 29. So, but I still in the gay community sometimes feel old. You know what I'm saying? So and that's a completely separate conversation.
I love
Yeah.
you.
That's a completely separate conversation, but but that way, like I see some of the younger gay people, and I'm like, oh damn, they're doing too much. Like they're so extra. But I also remember
just now, or just
right.
in general.
But I just in general, like I also recognize that when I was that young and trying to figure out my way, I was way too much.
I'm still too much now.
I'm still too much now.
I get on my own damn nerves. I'm like, what? Why did you do that?
Right?
What's wrong with you?
Absolutely. I'm the same way.
So really quick,
speak-
can I just have a question? How old were you when you came out?
When I came out, I was 20.
Okay, and you were
18.
Okay, and you were
So that's the transition.
Right, now, right.
Yeah. So I look at it in two parts. I am what they call a late bloomer, because my identity didn't start to unfold until I went to graduate school.
But that late bloomer is in coming out or just sexual?
Both.
Okay.
Both.
Because I know some people experimented but didn't come out until
Yeah.
later on.
Yes.
So I just want to I just want to make
So
sure.
both.
that-
So looking at the transition, I went from undergrad to graduate straight through, and within my undergraduate experience, I went to an HBCU and a PWI at the same time with a specific scholarship. But I was still in the state where
PWI is in
predominantly
Predominantly
white
I
institutions.
just want because people
Yeah.
who are listening might be like,
But
well,
also
yeah,
HBCU, historically black college,
yeah,
black college,
university.
yeah.
But Google is your friend, my friend.
Oh, stop.
But in addition to that, we won't give any institutional prep. But however,
Howard University built me.
Oh, Lord have mercy.
it framed who you are. You built yourself.
Ooh.
Amen.
We talked about it.
Yeah. So when I look at my upbringing, I grew up in North Carolina in a very small town, and I didn't look at myself as being able to not go with the cultural norms. So that meant doing everything from athletics to the dating of the heterosexual pieces.
You want to pass.
It was passing, but it wasn't me not trying to be who I wasn't. Because
Oh, I'm lost with that.
Pass. So
it's like you're brainwashed automatically.
Okay.
So it's like the Stepford Wives, if you're thinking about the movies. But when I was going through undergrad, I would recognize beauty, regardless of who it was. But I wasn't in a place where I was able to verbally articulate, oh, that's a nice outfit, oh, you're very handsome, or you're beautiful, whatever. My first experience of that happening without me really recognizing it was when I was in graduate school. And it was, classes hadn't even started. I had already moved to that state, which was about maybe...
which state was this?
It was the state of Indiana.
Okay.
And it was maybe 3 days before classes start. So early August. And I am in my student union, and I'm about to meet up with some new cohort members. And your cohort is your graduate school colleagues that you go through the same program with. And I see someone who I recognize that is a first year, and someone who I assume is not a part of the program, but just walking with them. Like, damn, he's sexy. But I thought that was in my head. But when I heard the response of thank you, I realized that it came out verbally. Damn! Fuck you.
Bitch. I was like, he just scared me. I thought something happened.
I thought it was right in my house.
Did you say she is so extra?
Because if you're not watching the video, you know that Vic just
Went to the bathroom
and
ran back out.
Just to
All of the
scream.
shows
Yeah,
right here.
y'all need to watch the extras. It's amazing.
Yes.
But moving forward, that individual and I had an on and off again relationship throughout our 2 years in graduate school, but also a year after, because when I wasn't ready, he was ready, because he was in a relationship at that time. Broke up with his boyfriend because the boyfriend was in another state. but I was still trying to find myself. So I leave the state of Indiana and I go to the state of Florida for my first big time job and whatnot. That is the time that I really identified who I was. But also I wanted to go to a location where I could live out my truth. So then I left the state of Florida after being there for 10 years. My sister, who's a big advocate of the gay community, also myself, shout out to Renee, she was my partner in crime throughout this whole time. So then I moved to Washington, D.C. with my dream job. And I've been here for 8 years since then. But the year that I moved here, I automatically went into another gay relationship. So it was at that time that I felt that I was ready to kind of live my truth. I knew that that relationship wasn't going to sustain me, but it was what I needed to be myself.
Okay.
So I took that time to do two things. One, live up my truth. And two, I was going into the next year into my 30s. So I wanted I know. I wanted to cross over living who I was in the full out and open, and that one piece that was missing was to have the conversation with my parents. So that story is, so I'm living in Washington. I have a wedding to go to in North Carolina, which is not too far from where my parents live. And my friend was getting married 11/11/11. November 11th, 2011.
November's just a good year period.
It was, and it was Friday. And happy early birthday to you, Pam.
All right.
I live for my birthday.
Subtle shout out.
Well, mine is 11/8, but I'm just saying, any birthday in November. I'll take Scorpio time anyway.
So I was in the wedding, so I went down for the wedding, and then I knew that I wanted to have this conversation with my parents because it was a month and a half before my birthday, and I wanted to again go into 30. In my own words, as a free man, living my truth. So the wedding was on Friday, 11/11/11, and then that Saturday I drove down to my parents. I get home, and if any of you know who my mother is the original Medea. With the pistol and the knife and the slick tongue. Background, my mother, I love her to death. She is so badass, she's cussed the deacons out on the church ground.
Well, here we go.
Love you, Mom.
Right.
What part of this?
So, you love her and hate her at the same time. But anyway, so my mom, so I get home, my dad's there, cool ass dude, chilled, doesn't talk much, but when he speaks with purpose.
Oh, nice.
And my partner Chadwick does the same thing. But in addition to that, my dad and I were just down in the den in the man cave watching college football because it was a Saturday in November. Just not really talking, but enjoying our own time. So then my mom comes in as herself, Medea. Shout out to Pauline. Come in cussing and fussing. I was like, oh, yep, this is not the day that we're going to do this. Because the idea was that weekend it was going to come out hell of high waters. So my mom, by her own trade, is in cosmetology, but also taught herself to be a barber. She has a barber school herself. So I was like, okay, I'm not looking shabby, but I need my hair cut, I need the trim and all that. So I'm gonna let my mom cut my hair in the morning, and then I'll figure out what's gonna happen.
Oh, I thought you told her why she was cutting your hair.
No.
You're like, bitch, no. Because you're not about to fuck up my
Okay.
I'm
This is
sorry.
something next week. You can't mess up my
I'm still stuck on that he was actually hoping for an opportunity to catch Pauline in a good mood.
What you won't do, bitch. What you won't do. So as she's cutting my hair, it's Saturday morning at 7 o'clock because she's one of those people who her biological clock gets her up at 5:30, so that means everybody else has to get in. get up at the same time. She's like Tanisha from the.
I know.
Everybody's gotta get the fuck out.
I ain't getting no sleep because of y'all.
Amen.
Because of me.
Perfect, girl. Yes.
So if she's up, everybody else has to get up. So I was like, fuck.
Yeah.
So I get up. My father gets his haircut first, and we're all in the house in the kitchen, and she's cutting hair. Father goes first, then I go first. So I'm contemplating it. It's in my head. I've already eaten breakfast.
Not while she's cutting her hair, right?
No.
Okay.
No. But she has the clippers and she has the blade next to me. It's like, yeah, nope, not gonna happen. So then we go to church because you can't go home to a Southern Baptist family and not go to church. Mm-hmm. So we go to church, and I'm sitting in church. I'm listening, but I'm not really paying attention. I only have a few more hours because I have to drive back to Washington, which is a 6-hour drive. And my father's one of those ones that you're going to get out of my house before night falls because you need to be on the road and back home. So I'm like, send me a message, send something. And so the message from the preacher was, how do you communicate when it's difficult?
Ooh. Well,
Won't he do it?
Won't he do it?
Well,
Let him use you. So I'm like, okay, that's how we gonna get to this. So long story short, my father has to stay after church for a deacon's meeting. So my mom and I go back home. At this point, I'm fucking panicking because my heart's racing. It has to get done. I have so much time before I know that he's gonna kick me out to get back on the road, and then we also have to eat lunch / a meal together as a family, and it's just 3 of us, my parents and myself. My sister is with her family in Durham, North Carolina. So I'm packing my bags, and my father comes. I'm like, okay, this is what I gotta do. I gotta get it done. We sit down. I'm sitting at the head of the table. My mom's to the left, which is close by the stove, and then my father's to the left of her, which is eyesight to the den where the game is on because it's Sunday. So at this second, I was like, do or die, bitch. Make it happen.
Wait a minute, you came out during football season?
right. That's the other thing.
What you won't do.
Disturbing the
This
football
girl's
game.
so extra.
Disturbing the game.
I was risking every. Thank you, Dr. Jones.
You were 19 before college.
What? Yes.
We're gonna get to games in a minute, but go
Yeah.
ahead.
So at this point, it's like do or die, bitch. Make it happen. So at this point, I literally had an out-of-body experience. Oh, so before that, I asked my mom.
I'm a psychologist here. You can't be talking about your out-of-body experience.
So I asked my mom, like, do you feel that you're easy to talk to?
Oh, well.
And my mom looked at me like, she said, Ian, what the fuck you talking about?
Right.
So that was like, again, do you feel you're easy to talk with? So she's like, what the fuck you want to say?
The answer was no.
Basically. So at this point, I had the out-of-body experience. I was like, I don't know if you know this, but I'm gay. So, 1, my toxins were released.
Right, there we go.
Half.
Yep.
And then the next part was, okay, what the fuck am I going to do? She's close to the knives.
Right.
My keys are in my pocket, and my car is already loaded with food that I already stolen out of the freezer.
Right.
So, alright, I'm sitting here. I've already finished my chicken, fried chicken, because black family.
It's Sunday.
It's the
And it's Sunday, and it's the South, and we're in North Carolina.
season.
Right. And my parents did a look to left, look to right at each other. My father looks at my mom like,
Told you.
fuck you. My father looks at my mom like, and looks at me like, my nickname is Mon. Mon, what are you talking about? So then my mom, being Medea, was like, I knew that shit. Run around with all these damn people and all this other shit. But anyway, my father is a quick eater. He had already finished his meal. He is being courteous by sitting there with us, even though he was looking at TV and we was having casual conversation, but not really. He gets up from the kitchen table, goes to the sink, which is about 5 feet away, still puzzled, trying to figure out what just happened. His world's turned upside down. He looks at me, was like, do your sister know? Like, Yeah, we just had a conversation. Granted, we had this conversation like 10 years later, 2 years prior, and he was like, "So why you wait? Why now? You're my son. I love you."
Ugh.
Bitch.
Well.
All my toxins were released.
Yeah.
All my emotions were sucked in.
That's beautiful.
And then my father was the one who I thought was going to be the most difficult one because he is not communicative.
Let me tell you though, I've heard that from several people that they worry about their fathers.
Mm-hmm.
No, because here's what the world. I'm gonna say this real close to the microphone. Here's what the world needs to know: men have emotions.
Yep.
Straight, gay, bisexual, transgender, men have emotions. They are taught not to share those emotions. Mm-hmm. So then what that does for the young gay people of this world is it makes them think that their fathers in particular are going to be the problem. And that is never, well, let me not say never, because, there are experiences. Yeah. But that is rarely the case, because what nobody seems to talk about is that when that baby, any baby is born, sure, the mother has a lot of buy-in, but that woman has just had that baby in her belly for 9 months. Mm-hmm. So,
and now the bitch is biting on the titty.
Right.
No, technically 10. But
technically 10. But the man is then from that moment on, because now it's tangible. Now the baby's material, right?
It's real.
It's real.
Yep.
So you can't tell me, I can't tell you how many times I've had that conversation, that the father was the worry, but the father is the one who accepted before the mother.
Wow,
yeah, absolutely.
Really?
Absolutely.
That is my experience.
That's a very common narrative I hear.
Men are
whatever.
so much more in tune with their emotions than people give them credit for. Particularly heterosexual men are much more in tune with their emotions than people give them credit for, but are not allowed to talk about because it makes them seem less masculine and less of a man.
Yeah, I don't know, because I'm a split on that, and more of maybe a 20-80 for most men that I know, unless they're just hiding that from me. That in today's culture, and even before I did this, I chose this podcast. Before I did this podcast, it was a matter of, just talking to different men who are heterosexuals who have sons, and their thoughts on if their children, whether girl or boy, would be okay if their child turned out to be homosexual. A huge majority felt like I wouldn't accept. Mm-hmm. But I love my child, so I wouldn't have a choice but to accept, but I don't have to have it in front of me.
But that's a start.
But it is a start, but is that really accepting?
Right, I get that. I get that.
Like,
right?
Do they hide behind? Because you said most of them just automatically accept. So what they're telling me, of course, having a PhD is you get what you need out of statistics. And so, but people will cover up, the fact that I'm not going to accept my child. But in reality, they're not going to accept their child as long as it's not in their presence.
And that's what I was talking about earlier.
Yeah.
It's easier for parents to accept someone who's gay that is not their child.
Yeah.
No, what I'm saying is if Ramon, what I'm saying is that if you were my son, I will accept that you're gay. Just don't bring it around me.
Let's use these words.
That's a problem.
Allowance versus acceptance.
Correct.
So I'm going to allow you to be gay.
Not allow you, I'm going to tolerate you.
True. Yeah. So tolerance versus acceptance. So yeah, and I get that.
Disagree.
But you're the new age though.
Right.
But you didn't hear the question I just asked. You didn't hear you're not 40 yet. You'll be 40 next year. So
okay.
She's owning it though.
I'm gonna count it down since y'all always talk about my age. So
I think there's a lot in that though. I accept you, but don't bring it around me. What I'm hearing and what's not being said is I'm just not ready for that yet.
Yeah.
If I'm going to accept that or tolerate that, there's going to be a point. If you're going to be my son in my life, I know that you're going to go out and find love. That's what we do, right?
Does that mean it's too real?
Yeah.
Is it too real for the parent that feels that way?
Me, it's tangible. Because it is not real if I don't have it in front of my face, but in the back of my cranium, I know that that's who you are.
The cranium.
And I'm not making a choice as a parent, right?
Correct.
I mean,
I got the doctor here.
Yes,
I'm not making a choice as a parent if I'm going to be in your life in the way I want to be. Like for me, as I imagine, if I was a father, I want to be a part of my son and daughter's life. I want another partner. I want to be at their house for Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
I want to be at the kids. Like I'm not. There's no like, don't bring it in front of me. There's gonna be a point where you have to choose. Either I'm going to be a part of your life or I'm not.
Mm-hmm. But you're the homosexual parent, or you're the, but in this But I'm just thinking because in his situation, in and of today, it's I accept you, just don't bring it around me.
No, as a parent, I've
Of the
grown
new
up-
age.
Of the new
I'm
age.
not even want to say of the new
No,
age.
it's definitely of the
It's
new
not-
age
no,
in
not
some
necess-
situations.
no,
In some,
no,
yeah.
No, I'm going to say as a parent, I grew up with a strong church background, right? So with the strong church background and with the development coming into my life, it's like you have to pick and choose or whatever. So I already know that I'm going to fight demons along my family with this is not what it was. But I didn't get married and have kids. So as the same factor, every sin is a sin. However you want to, so I can't sit up here and say, oh, well, it's not okay for you to be gay. I had 4 kids outside of marriage.
Excuse me.
Then I done jumped all the way around the board with it. I done had sex with it.
Let's talk about
with it.
Me too.
Don't bring me to it again.
I didn't live with it. Could I accept it? It's something that eventually, like, I'm not going to make a whole battlefield of it.
Yeah.
It's like, it's something that I was grown, and I think this is just everybody, whether you old school or new school, it was something installed in you that's saying that this is not what it's supposed to be. So growing up saying that this is not what's supposed to happen, you're not supposed to have kids outside of marriage. You're not supposed to have sex outside of marriage. But the shit happens and everybody passes a blind eye to it. So now you're saying, oh, your child likes this type of person. Your child supposed to love this type of person. So no, it wasn't something that I was like, when it came to me, I was like, oh shit. Honestly, like, oh shit. But it's like, okay, what am I going to do? What am I going to do at this point? Am I going to just be with this? I got this oh shit factor, and I know how the world is going to perceive my child or whatever. I know how my family is going to perceive my child because we're so in it. You done did some dirt too, so let's cut that shit.
But as a disclaimer, Ebony, you grew up in a metropolitan city.
Yeah.
And not growing up in
A city's different than a town.
I don't feel like it's any different because
It's very different. Very different.
I'm going to drain it that
Hold my
shit.
beer.
Really anywhere.
No,
It is.
Rural America, no matter where it's at, versus metropolitan America,
It's
no
completely
matter where it's at in the country, is going to be drastically different.
Absolutely.
And I just want to say one thing on this whole acceptance thing. It's like, oh, I accept you, just don't bring it around me. I call bullshit on that all day long. That is not acceptance because it is contextual. When you are putting parameters on that, that is not acceptance. And I call bullshit on that all day long. It's like, you're going to love me for me 100% or you're not going to love me at all. Because I'm so tired of going through this world having to walk on eggshells and tiptoe around people. I am me. I contribute positively to society. I am trying to make this world a better place.
Amen.
And you can go fuck yourself if judging me and you only see the gay. Like, I have gone to some of the best schools in the country. I work for the federal government. I serve my country as a Peace Corps volunteer, but yet all you want to see is the gay part.
Yeah.
Like, get over yourself.
But you're making me feel emotional.
If we're talking about it,
I'm sorry.
You are absolutely
I
right.
had to get on my soapbox for a second.
And if
It's garbage.
And I think one thing that I think we haven't talked about is the three of us. We've been so grateful and fortunate to have family members who are like, okay, we don't give a fuck, we love you. There's so many people out there who
They don't have any of
We
it.
don't have any of it.
And that's what really makes me sick. Like,
Yeah,
where would I be? Who would I be if
I would be dead.
my
Yeah.
family was?
I would be dead.
Don't
I would
say
be
that.
dead.
No,
No, it's
no.
legit.
I'm
And a
telling
lot
you.
of people out here are killing themselves.
Yep.
Every day.
And they have it.
Yeah.
That 9-year-old boy who came out and was still bullied, he had it. His mother accepted it. But it was everybody else who fucked up that little boy's life.
Who had more time with him in the school system than he had
Right.
with his parent.
Right. Honestly. And that's why every day I'm teaching my colleagues how to relate and how to be there for students who identify as LGBTQ, because educators we see those kids more than some of them see their own parents.
Yes, absolutely.
And that is incredibly important.
Yeah.
So I have straight up said in the middle of a staff meeting, you leave your beliefs at home. Because when you enter this building, you are here for these children, no matter who they are. And if it goes against your beliefs, you're not in the right profession.
I wonder if like these children, like the culture and the way the world is moving is like to being accepting more early and teaching kids
100%.
gay is.
I would.
It's dangerous because it's like we have to fight so hard to be who we are, and we were able to do that, but we did it at 20,
Long-
18.
late-
Yeah. So I
I
would
was done
say
that at 9 years
It's
old.
dangerous
I
over
could
America.
at 13 years
Right.
old.
There's a sense of
To be
entitlement.
myself.
There's
It was safer for me to not be myself.
Actually, let me not say entitlement. There is a sense in the children who are coming up today. There is a sense of fantasy.
I know.
There's a sense of fantasy because now that they have now grown up in a time when essentially being gay is
Okay.
quote okay. Obviously we have so many problems
If
still.
you're a teenage girl, it's trendy.
Right. Don't.
That's a whole other
No,
podcast.
but we have this generation of kids who are now coming up who can come out at 9 or earlier or late, whatever. Bottom line is before they're adults, and they don't understand the fight that they're going to have to go through because there are still people who are up against them. So how do you put? So in a way, there's a responsibility for us as gay people who are adults, but also for parents to prepare their children for that battle, because otherwise, I hate to say it this way, but they're not going to make
But
it.
we have this. We can't do it alone. We need
No.
straight parents,
And there are
straight
always allies.
kids.
There are always
teach
allies.
them that, like, and I think that one reason why straight kids have such a negative, young children have a negative view of gay people, and it's because I think parents are so afraid that if they teach their kids that it's okay to be gay and accept people as they are, that they will be gay and nobody wants a gay kid. So they tell people that's not the right way to go, right?
Right.
And so the kids are coming out here and they're picking on these kids who are gay and who are and open about it. When I think if we can teach love and move in that direction and be like, I think I don't know. I don't know
that we can teach that.
I'm gonna have to disagree with you
Okay.
on this one thing.
Yeah.
For you to say that there should be straight parents teaching straight whatever, no, there should be parents.
Yeah.
That's real.
Let's just get it real. There should be parents. I don't give a shit
Touche, sister.
what your sexuality is. You should be teaching kids to love people as they are.
Regardless.
Because you deal with that with racism.
Yep.
That shit is inherited.
Religion.
You want it?
This shit is inherited.
Yep.
So is homosexuality. It's inherent. There's some things you're just not going to avoid, but in order to just teach your children to love people as they are.
Yes.
I don't give a shit what part of the rainbow, gay, straight, blue, black, purple, whatever. Because in the context that I will even say that no matter, I've traveled a lot. I've traveled to Africa, and guess what? I was discriminated of because of the color of my skin before the tan.
You and me
I was
both.
light skinned.
Yeah.
In Africa, and I was discriminated against because the color of my skin. I was not dark.
No, it's not dark. You're not purple.
You're American.
Yeah, but it's just that. But
what's
there's
it
color barriers, just like there are gay barriers here. So to me, to say that there should be a specific type of parent
But I think that's
to
the
teach you
third
something,
parameter.
no, you are a parent. you teach your children not to see discriminatory factors. That's what we need to be educating our kids on, because that's the shit that they learn when they are younger.
Yes.
They don't discriminate when they're younger. They see
don't.
friends, they see love, they see compassion. And it is taught.
Yeah,
it is.
Teach
that.
It is. Very much so.
You teach love. And one of the most powerful experiences I've ever had in my life, it happened at kickball, actually.
And I'm feeling emotional
And
right
it was
now.
it was
So everybody
Go with
taking
it,
their
girl.
shots.
I am.
okay.
Hold on.
It was kickball. My very first season of kickball, I believe, and it was with I was hanging out with a friend who is now passed, and it was kickball. It was finals, and we were at the mall, and we were walking around in short shorts. Blah blah blah. We do what we do in short shorts.
Yes.
And there was a kid there, and we were like a lot of gay people, and they were at the National Mall. Someone goes, "Mommy, look at those boys. Why are they holding hands?" Literally, the mom goes, "Some boys just like boys, and that's okay." That's what she fucking told her kid. And
Mom of the Year.
to like
Honestly.
to keep walking past that and to just not even acknowledge it, but just to like, okay, damn, we hear the conversation going, and it's like,
Yeah.
it was really like, wow.
Yeah.
It made us feel so good. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
It gave you validation.
Validation. They, unfortunately, I don't think we should have to seek. But
We don't, but we
do.
have to.
But we do.
But you know what?
Validation.
But you know what people fail to realize is that even heterosexual.
Well, yeah, everybody needs to be validated.
No.
Validation.
No,
Yes, they do.
I don't feel like
No,
that.
they do.
Yes, they
They
do.
do.
Yes,
I feel
they
like
do.
it's 3 ratings. You're straight, and you have to meet a certain level in life or whatever. And then I feel like your race, you have to meet a certain level. So, okay, you're straight, you're black, you're white, you're Indian, you're Chinese, you're Mexican, whatever. You have to meet the criteria, and you already brought down to a certain level. Then after that, it's like, oh, the race is like, okay, well, you're straight and you're Chinese. You're straight and you're Mexican. Oh, well, you're trying to escape over here, over to the border. You're Chinese. You're trying to take all the tariffs and get all our money. You're African American. You're just trying to live on the race.
Race.
But no, but
that's,
then
that's
after
race
that,
and ethnicity.
but no, because
you know
after
what, you're
that,
missing the
because
fact
you
that
can be straight and then you can have your race, but then I feel like after that is what your relationship bias is. Because then it's you're gay or you're straight or whatever. Because I was cool as being straight, being white, black, whatever. And then I got to what race I was, and now that okay, well I'm not straight, and then I'm another ethnicity, and that's not the word, and I've been drinking.
Greater than this. Yeah.
But then as gay person or whatever, then you're brought to a lower level, because it didn't matter what your education was. It didn't matter how you were raised or whatever. Everything is just elaborated at a third level. I feel like you're treated different, but I don't feel like it's any different.
So where I was going with this is that validation is
As
validation,
humans.
and you shouldn't
As
have
humans.
to. I'm gonna give you a really good
Everybody
example.
wants
But you know, you're
validation
correct.
as
But you know what? But
humans.
some people feel the need to come out and be validated in order to be relevant. And I'm gonna give you a good example. Molested at age of 6, me. Raped at 16, me. Never validated. To society, to my mother, yes. To other people, my therapist, yes. But to people, no. You look at society right now, Me Too movement did not just motherfucking start. Celebrities made this bitch start.
Yeah.
Women have been complaining for fucking years.
Centuries.
Centuries.
Absolutely.
And here, I'm 43 years old. Or
Ooh, you look
42.
good, girl.
Thank you, boo.
Let no crack out. Yes.
I said I'm 42. I'll be 43 in like a month and a half.
Like so.
But I'm just saying, validation. I never felt the need to speak up because one, society taught me that if I'm a wife, I can't be raped.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Get that right.
Because you
straight.
have no rights.
I have no rights. That I'm supposed to just take it. When I'm younger, the person committed suicide. But you know what? So my story is just out there, but it's never justified. And I look at some of these women now who have an opportunity to speak their mind, guess what? They're asking to be validated.
Yep.
Yeah.
Some shit
In
don't
the
be
public
validated.
eye.
Homosexuality or any type of sexuality should not be
It's none of my business.
validated.
Right.
It's none of my
It is not. It is
It's
not.
none
It
of your
should not be
business.
validated. So I have personal feelings when I hear the term validated. Bitch, why should be validated?
Right.
Because-
That's only a parking pass, ho.
Thank you. Thank you. So I have personal convictions about it, and it just it bothers me and it hurts me. And when I see these kids doing things to themselves because they cannot be accepted in society, and even Ramon and I have had conversations that almost brought me to tears. And the last time I was on this couch, I told him how I felt, and I cried around him. It's just like different damn things. Validation is not a word that should technically be used in terms of race,
Right, in terms of
sexuality, anything.
In
where
terms
you
of
have to
things
deal
that
with
are
truth.
inherent.
That are truth.
Yes.
Things that are truth should
Yes.
not be validated. I shouldn't have to fight and argue and go to court and do all this other shit to validate the goddamn
Who
truth.
I am.
Yeah.
Who I am.
Who I am.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
Who I
So
am,
let's
and
remember.
what's the truth? And
Let's
that's
remember.
just what it is.
Let's remember that so much of this hatred stems from religion.
Let's go back to that.
But
Yeah.
let's
But you know,
clarify.
they're accepting of the Catholic Church who
But
done
let's-
molested millions of boys.
But let's clarify.
It's not just the Catholic Church.
But
No,
let's-
I'm just saying
but
that
let's
they
clarify.
passed the shit on.
But let's clarify. Every
Oh shit!
every
You just
single
talked about-
religion.
Okay.
Bring your child up.
He just threw the Holy Bible on
He
me.
threw the
I
Holy
sure
Bible.
did.
And you know what? It
That's what
scared me,
was.
so I'm gonna go to the
But-
bathroom because you just.
But let's remember.
I just want to put a little extra what on your religion.
Yeah.
Is that a lot of the issues that we have are socially constructed
Yep.
that
They
are
are.
rooted
Yep.
in religion.
Y'all go
Exactly. I was saying that,
every
'cause-
single
was
religion.
What was taught to you
Hold
is
on,
the way
hold
your
on.
life's supposed to be.
Hold
That's
on.
not correct.
Every single religion, remember, is man-made.
Correct.
And that's
Every
It
single
is.
religion.
It is.
This
Because-
Bible that was just plopped down on the table, written by man.
Yeah.
Was not written by God because God don't have fingers. God didn't have
It
anything to
is
write with.
a figment of our imagination.
But then you go into the fact God don't have a gender. So what are we talking about?
The thing
The
is-
bottom line is religion is man-made. So how are we going to sit here and ever, whether Muslim, Christian, Jew, any type of religion, nobody can claim to know what God is.
No one can, but and also like I think religion at the beginning it was originally created to be what a conduit to God, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Yep.
But now it's become nothing but a barrier
Yes.
between people and God, especially people in the gay community.
Yes.
And it makes me so sad, right? And I
Yeah.
know Vin, I know that you. I guess this is a conversation to have in terms of like religiosity and spirituality.
I love how you just
What
said
is-
religiosity. That's not a word, but I really love
Religiosity
it.
isn't a word.
Hey,
No, it's not.
Hey, I
Yes, it
didn't
is.
pronounce
Look it
the
up.
other word last. Hey, high five.
Religiosity?
Hang on, no, don't tell her.
I need to go ahead. Sorry. I'm
Religiosity
sorry.
is a
I'm
word.
sorry. I'm
Religiosity and
sorry.
spirituality. It's a
I'm
word.
sorry.
That's fine.
You're a doctor.
But I know for a fact that you are religious or spiritual, whatever. But
Yes.
how, what's the difference between religiosity and spirituality in like your words? And like, you know, I know that you go to church. And,
Yep.
you know, what does that mean for you as a gay man and how you reconcile, you know, being a gay?
I'm a Catholic. So I love you for even asking that. I identify as gay. I was raised in Catholicism.
Okay.
So I went to church throughout my life. I was baptized, received Holy Communion, and then was confirmed in 9th grade. I now do not identify with most of what the Catholic Church preaches, but I
Which
am
is what?
Preaches or practice? Because there are two different things I do.
True. You're absolutely right. So what they preach, because I know
Because
plenty
the
of
preaching
I
is
know-
the word.
Right.
Practice is what they believe.
Right. Because what I see in most Catholic priests is their acceptance. What I hear them preach, not the same people.
You're right.
But I'm saying in general, the church as this greater power. I see them preach what's different than what their priests are practicing. So I would say that I hold on to my faith for the tradition, and I had many an opportunity to switch denominations or to change my beliefs. but I stuck with
Catholicism.
Hello.
We know the word, girl.
I
Can't spell it right now, but we know the word.
I stuck with it because of the tradition. And what I found was a community, albeit not accepted by the greater Catholic Church. We are technically exiled by them. What I found was a community who provides a Catholic space and a Catholic Mass for those who identify as LGBTQ. So I hold on to my faith. And that's what you were asking, Vic. I hold on to my spirituality
because that's
what I do not necessarily because that is I'm going to say as in my community's relationship with God.
But I have a question,
but we have straight people who worship with us.
Okay, that's why I want you to clarify.
So I have a question, and I want your opinion on this. I know that Catholicism is very against homosexuality.
Yes.
But how do you explain
what's happening?
What's happening
to
multiple? I mean, you can go back centuries.
Absolutely.
Not even just a few centuries
Absolutely.
on homosexuality.
We about to go
acts.
Right.
I don't care.
No.
I don't care.
No, because we're mad about it too.
But I want to understand how something so detested in Catholicism in and of itself, not just the Catholic Church, but in Catholicism itself. And I studied. If anybody ever feel the need to go back, I have a minor in religion.
Hello.
So yes, in my undergrad, I minored in religion, but amazingly, I majored in psychology. I was curious about the two because the controversy and the unorthodoxness between the two. So in terms of Catholicism, when I look at stuff that's coming out and all of the allegations coming out against all of these Catholic priests and the way they move them from church to church to church to church,
so that they could avoid the
consequences of their actions.
Yeah.
They detest homosexuality, but they promote it. In my opinion, it's promotion when you just say, you know what, I'm going to sweep this under the carpet because it's considered a sin.
Yeah.
But it still does not change the real, true dynamic.
Yeah.
So how do you deal with, one, being a male who is Catholic in a religion that is against your kind, but accepting if it comes from a priest?
Because I am...
That's
absolutely
real.
That's very real.
It's in the pit of your soul.
And I'm going to say that I continue to be a Catholic because I am being what a true Catholic is. I am studying my relationship and believing in my faith as a believer in Christ. That is what a Catholic truly is. Now, what
Christian is.
Christian.
True. Sorry,
Can we break down Christian and Catholic?
Yeah,
Catholic is a religion. Christianity. When you say you're a Christian, but being a Christian is of a being.
You're right.
It's a spiritual place.
So let me say, I am finding my base in the tradition of Catholicism. So sitting through Mass, being with a community. But hold on.
Yeah.
I'm finding my base in the actual practice of Catholicism.
Okay.
Now, and I'm trying to go back to your actual question. The
practice of Catholicism.
Yes, the practice versus
the religion.
Right.
Of Catholicism.
But even bigger than that, the entity of Catholicism. So clearly the entity, the Vatican and everybody who controls Catholicism, the Pope even, despite his openness to gay people, which could be argued. Don't get me wrong, we're not. Fuck. I could set up 5 different points on this right now. So start with the Pope. I think he's wonderful. I think he's a great man. I think he's accepting, but I don't think he's saying everything he wants to say because he's afraid of everybody around him.
It's the politics.
Yes, there is politics in religion, which is obviously a problem.
Which was supposed to be the difference between church and
the separation.
Yes.
But The problem with Catholicism is it is an old boys club, as they call it. So you get up there, you get up in the ranks, you keep the tradition alive because nobody else is going to do anything about it. The problem is you start to cover. You start to cover for people. So you're holding on to these ideals that you think are making the religion what it is or what it has been. You know what I'm saying? This idea that priests can't get married, priests can't be sexual, right? Well, now you have these people acting out on it. They're molesting and raping young children. And mind you, it hasn't just been little boys. You know, there are young women and young men who have been inappropriately dealt with by these priests. So what I'm saying is the moment you release not even release. The moment you acknowledge the human nature of these people, priests, the desire to be loved, the desire to be married, the desire to just be themselves. The moment the Catholic Church realizes that they are taking away from the humanness of their people, that's the moment that everything's going to go away. There is the Catholic religion. I don't doubt their devotion to Christ or God, whatever. I doubt their commitment to their community and their priests in particular. Wow. I doubt their commitment to especially those who take the extra devotion as priests.
So that's something that I can't necessarily. I'm not a Catholic. I can't speak to that and what I believe about Catholic people, and the religion. I think that in all, right? I think that religion. I have the stance that religions overall, they're good. I think they were created to, like I said, the conduit to God. But what it is that they're man-made rules, regulations, practices to kind of guide you in the way to God.
Yeah.
Right? And so I think to stay in the theme of like what we've been discussing tonight, or this afternoon, whatever this is how can we, as gay people, like how can we maintain a healthy level of like spirituality, given that there's so much negativity that we perceive?
Take that back first of all. People. Don't identify yourself because you don't have an identity. You are a person. And that's how I'm seeing you. That's how I see each and every one of you here. I see her, and she's hetero.
We're homos.
That girl over there, she's a hetero.
You're homosexual. You're homosexual.
But we love you still.
On Instagram, Facebook, simply Miss Graham.
Stop it.
You better pimp that cooch out, girl. Pimp that cooch out.
Kristen Mingles sent Muslim Mingles.
No, I'm honest.
Trying to get married Mingles.
I really do. I really truly have an issue about people feeling the need to be boxed in. You are a human being. You are a person.
Okay. You might have lost me for a second. Where did I box this up?
You said gay.
You said
you
gay.
Said gay.
You
did. Said gay people, and I'm like,
and I think it's particular. I think that our gay people. I think our relationship with religion is unique.
Oh, it is. But so are people. No, okay. So let me just go here. I'm gonna tell you why I feel the way when I said you are a person. I don't go to church every single Sunday. I might listen online. I might tithe now and again, but I'm still a person. I might not believe in God until something happens to me that's tragic, and then I decide.
And that's when you call on Him. That's the wrong time.
And He will be there.
But so your sexuality does not make you any different than me, who have the same issues in life. No matter what they are, no matter what job you have, no matter what struggles you have, no matter what. If you was raped, I was raped, guess what? It's not about you was raped because you're a man, I was raped because I'm a woman. We were raped because we were people.
And you were vulnerable to whoever.
I really truly detest people who feel the need to box in because of a specific either sexuality or situation.
Yeah, that's fair.
Shit
and I
fucking
agree with
bothers
that.
me. So that's why but you know what? But the only way to make the change is to acknowledge that someone recognizes that you are human. You are flesh. You are a person. You are a being. We are beings here. We serve the same damn purpose on earth, and that's to be good to everybody. Now, it doesn't make it right, and people don't always think that way. But the reality is the only way that you can institute change is to separate boxism.
So let me add something.
I want to respond to her.
Yes, but I want to get it.
Let him respond.
I got some Bible verses for y'all asses.
I agree with everything.
I'm drinking, so I don't need that many Bible verses.
I agree with everything you're saying.
I got some Bible verses now for that profanity that was listed a few seconds ago.
Get off the mic.
What I'm going to say is I agree with what you're saying. I think the difference is you as a heterosexual black woman have never been told by the church that you are going to hell for who you are.
And you're not good enough.
You know
I have. Right?
Let
So
me just
I understand that. So that's when I say
so
as
you
gay
know
people.
what? You know what? Let me tell you something I have here. Let me take you back, and you know, let me be 100% honest, because I'm very authentic.
Yeah.
My social media reads authentically me. So because I had one incident with a woman who was a best friend of mine who was curious, am I going to hell?
I mean, you asked me help.
Yes.
Answer that.
You probably wouldn't help me because of that.
You're going to be right there with the rest of them.
You have to out.
Why?
You're going to be right there beside me.
I'm just saying no, but you know what? That's what I'm saying. It's because I chose to allow a friend to experiment with me, and I gave her the same experimentation backwards.
So
I didn't like it.
Back?
I'm just saying I didn't like it. It wasn't for me, but I did it for a friend who was not ready and prepared to be with a fully homosexual woman who was.
But I appreciate that experience. But I'm still saying that our experience is different. From a young age,
so I was
taught that
I'll meet you there. What time?
From as soon as I can rationalize, right? When I had a rational mind, I was told that I was going to hell because I'm gay. That's been my life in my experience with religion.
But no one really knows that. A lot of and
If you grew up in a black church, you know that.
Gay people in church know that. Gay people in church know that.
But now, the reason why I'm saying that, and I'm being real in my truth, is that judgment is judgment. So because I had this one experience in my life, and Godspeed.
The church didn't forgive that. They're not going to forgive me and Ben.
No.
It doesn't make a difference. But no, all I'm saying is one sin does not outweigh the other. The fact that I've stepped out and I've never, because it wasn't something that I liked, it doesn't change the fact that I did it.
Right, but
and that's our project, and that's our argument. One sin is now what, but then why is the gay issue the problem? Because you have deacons in here with kids and wives, like 7 of them, from 7 different wives. You have preachers in here. Fucking the kids, let me stop. This is bad. I'm talking crazy.
We have
people who are not living in.
Yeah, let's go back to the
Hey y'all, let me interject very quickly.
Please.
So I took an Old Testament class in undergrad, and it was very eye-opening because the professor, who is now the pastor of a Baptist church in my hometown, it was very eye-opening for me because I grew up in a very religious background. I was always told that you're gay, you're going to hell, and I grew up congregational holiness. So like you smoked a cigarette, you drank a beer, like that was going to send you to hell. Like New Year's, we drank sparkling apple cider, okay? But my point is this class was so eye-opening for me because the Old Testament was never written for people to take it word for word verbatim, which is what so many people do. From an academic standpoint, the Old Testament and the Bible, period, was written as truth stories.
Yes.
They were written as narratives to teach you life lessons and to guide you, to show you how you should behave. A 7-headed monster is not going to come out of the ocean.
The world,
as it says
what it won't
in
do.
Revelation.
So are you saying the Bible's a fable?
Hold on. No.
Because that was a 7-headed monster once I said I was
Which one?
The Bible is a book to help guide your morale.
It's like any other book.
Let's talk.
But it should have no bearing on how you treat others based on their sexual orientation, based on the color of their skin, based on their background,
or religion.
It teaches you how to be a good
person.
Yep.
So let's some water.
So fun fact, I did a TED Talk on this.
Where can we find it?
You can find it on YouTube. It's a TEDx talk. So I did it at my alma mater. It was actually called
Gays Rule the World.
It's called allowance. It's called allowance versus acceptance. And the fact is, let's go back to what I said earlier. Religion is man-made. The Bible was written by man.
A white one.
No.
We don't bring that in here, girl. Because all the marketing is white.
Technically, let me tell you something.
Well, hold on.
Really quick, let me just tell you something.
Power.
No, it was not. The Bible may have been written by a black man or a white man, but the actual scripture was written by
Arabic.
An Arabic.
Aramaic.
Not even Arabic. It was written from a I'm trying to think of though, because it was the original scrolls.
The Dead Sea Scrolls
were written from
in Hebrew.
In Hebrew,
and they were written in Aramaic, and they were written in Greek.
And then no, they was transcribed.
Oh, true.
In Arabic, and then in all these other languages.
Right.
But the original, authentic, was written in Hebrew.
Yeah. So the bottom line was the Bible was written.
You can only read the original scrolls if you read Hebrew in the original Testament.
The Bible was written by man. That's the bottom line.
Right.
And so you look at the Bible.
Egypt.
The Bible is a moral life guide, as Chadwick was just saying.
Yeah.
So not to say it's fables, but it's to say that it's a moral compass. So it is not a literal. So difference between moral and literal. It is not a literal life guide. You are not supposed to be following the Bible in a literal way. Otherwise, none of us would be eating shellfish. None of us would be sucking dick. But none of us would be wearing. None of us would be wearing. Hello. Let's stay focused. None of us would be wearing clothes that are made out of blends.
Yeah, did you say stay focused?
I said stay focused. No, just in general.
Oh, okay.
Interesting thing is,
so what I'm saying is that the Bible was never supposed to be taken literally. You think the world was made in 7 days?
No.
Nobody does, because science disproves that.
But
so there are people who actually do believe it.
No.
But what I'm saying is, the creation story
is not technically 7 days, and it's not necessarily 12 months.
Right. So the Bible, the creation story was created to say, look at what God did in 7 days. Look, he went from nothing to an entire world and the heavens.
No, he
so
went
look at what
something to people.
The creation story was created for the Babylonians who were exiled. So what you can say is God went from nothing to something. You are Babylonians, you are exiled. So what can you do with nothing? What can you create? So that is to say that the Bible is a moral life guide and not a literal life guide.
The interesting thing is, like, still being gay man, I consider myself more spiritually religious right at the moment.
The gay man.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
It always comes back to the gay
identity,
coming out the closet.
But
so I have a black woman, so every time I speak, I should say I'm a black woman.
No. I'm just saying like that. I think it's important to highlight that in terms of when it comes to religion, especially in our community, the black community, a black gay man community. You know how it's how it is, right?
Yeah.
When I have kids. My kids are growing up in the church.
And that's nothing wrong with that.
My kids are growing up in the church. I want them to know the Bible. I want them. Hold on, let me take a picture, y'all.
Right now.
Like,
edit out pause. We had to take time for a selfie.
As much as I think that the church has been a violent and detrimental force to our community, I think there is a lot of good the church can do.
It can. It's a guidance.
I think I'm a good person. I think I'm a really good person in life, right? And you know, I think I'm a good person.
Yeah.
No, you don't have to think. You know that you're a good person.
I'm a good person, but I think a lot of it comes from knowing the Bible, right? And thinking what's and having what's right and what like these stories of Jonah and Noah, like and Moses, like pushed into my head at such a young age, and like I think that was valuable for me,
absolutely,
as a person. So whether we agree with religion or not, whether we're spiritual or not, I think that it brings a lot of value to our life in terms of it makes us better people. If we allow it to.
Absolutely.
And that goes back
It
to
makes us better people, and we just accept people for who
they
really
are. Like Chadwick was saying, like, right, we don't think it literally, but like, allow it to like make us better. And I think that we can do that if we, as parents, straight, gay, black, white, as parents, I'm taking us out the box. You heard me? Out the box. As parents, like, really open up to our children in that way and expose them to these things.
So since you brought that up, Vic, I want to, so again, as I mentioned earlier, Google is our friend. And there are two specific Bible verses, since we went to that direction, that I want to identify. One is in the area of love. Proverbs chapter 3, verses 3 through 4. Let love and faithfulness never leave you. Bind them around your neck. Write them on your tablet of your heart. Then you will win favor and good name in the sight of God and man. The other one is in relationships. Romans chapter 12, verse 10. Be devoted to one another in love. Honor one another above yourself. Now, both of those, like any other person who's in religion, would pick and choose what is favorable to what their topic of conversation is. Now, I've learned that over time. But specifically to this podcast, we are individuals.
Correct.
Love does not choose who is male or female.
What is love?
Exactly.
It's an emotion.
For me, Ramon, love is the feeling that you never have, that you can't describe. So I equate that as Chadwick is my partner. He's an individual who I'm going to marry. He's the one who we're going to have.
Yeah.
I'm a bee.
Everybody take the shot right now. The shot time.
We're going to take a shot.
Found the moment.
All right.
There, Ma.
So Chadwick is my partner.
Chadwick is also your host.
Yes, he is.
That's true.
Same one. He is the individual that has really allowed me to be myself. He is the one that has brought me out of this comfort zone of me being in this population of my upbringing, not allowed to be who I wanted to be.
I'm calling X.
Calling X.
I'm calling X, because let me tell you something. I knew Ramon before Chadwick.
She did.
So let me just tell you, I'm gonna speak so that you will hear some truth about old Ramon here.
Come on, Ramon.
So
Don't put all my business in the street.
I'm
That's
not
in
gonna
my
put your
brain,
business
though.
out on the street.
What's his credit score?
No,
We need to know.
no, but you know, because he is talking about Chadwick, and some people be like, you know, he could just be saying that. I met Ramon pre-Chadwick, and he and I had many discussions. Ramon and I used to hang out really tight. Really, you forget about me now, but it's okay.
No, I don't.
That's how they do
No, I
it.
don't. What you want to do?
That's how they
I'm
do it.
gonna X that.
You know,
He definitely does not forget about
because of him.
you.
It's not because of Chadwick. I would just say it's not because of Chadwick, but I knew, I would be honest, I knew Ramon in a very unhealthy space.
Yes, you did,
And in a
child.
very discouraging space when it came to love. And being someone who was introduced to healthy, like a real healthy love, because I have that now, so I knew how to feed into Ramon. It's so hard to really even put into emotion, and I think that's what love is that it's very difficult to see the person that is closest to you put something into words when it comes to
love.
how a person changes for the better for themselves. And Ramon has become a trusting individual. When it comes to Chadwick, he became a person that can see a future when
Yes.
it came to Chadwick, because if you looked at motherfucker I knew before,
Don't do this.
Day by day.
Come on, it's already emotional. He over there getting emotional. I'm
Hurt.
but you know, I literally, and Ramon would tell you, I praise. Is he holding up the Bible?
Yes, he is.
No, I honestly and truly praise the fact that Ramon met Chadwick when he did, because Ramon was at such a broken state in a non-belief of what love can give to somebody. But Ramon saw that in me, but to see it in the person that you're close to is like, I don't know, it's his story, and I'm never going to break the bonds of trust between Ramon and I, and what he told me and what he confided in me.
I will give it.
But it doesn't, but that doesn't matter. I think the main thing is that when Chadwick came along, and it didn't, and for me, it took a while. You know when you're close to somebody that they don't automatically let you know who they're seeing until it's serious.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
Ramon didn't tell me about Chadwick until a few months in. And it's so weird that by this few months in, it was around Christmas time. But you all had already saw each other for about a month or so. And Ramon said to me, this feels real. This feels real to me. And I was like, okay. And I was like, just go for it, and here are things to look out for. And, I'm being the sister. I'm being a big sister.
Yeah.
Next thing you know, it was like a year later. I was like, wait a minute. I was like, wait a minute. Did I know him that long? Like, really? But Ramon truly showed me a different side of him, or, of what really love really is. And I'm so grateful for that on so many reasons, because although I do have a childhood friend who is homosexual, Ramon is close to me. I call him my DC husband.
Yep.
Now I have 2 husbands.
Exactly.
Yeah.
3.
Okay, 3. But I'm being 100% authentic. Is that I've seen the growth of one man through love.
Yeah. And this may be
I'm not even gonna say I'll hurt you. I will hurt you if you hurt him.
Yeah.
And this is my ace number 1. But Chadwick is such a gentle spirit, and I'm grateful that Ramon was given that spirit to welcome him to love.
Yeah.
Because you don't know it until you really have it, how healthy. And what I will say is, and I know he don't mind me saying, Ramon was in toxic relationships up to now, in which I will bring to the fact that it's a fact, and I don't care. I've talked to many of. First of all, I've been through many, and I've hung out with the queens during Pride Week.
Yep.
So I already know that. In Washington, D.C., I can't speak for anybody else, but in Washington, D.C., it is very easy to have hookups when you're homosexual, but to actually have a relationship when you're homosexual is very difficult.
Yes.
So easy, because the city is so
for him
transient.
to find
That's a whole
commitment,
other podcast.
and
Honestly, bitch.
you have commitment. So even for you, Victor Jones, Dr. Victor Jones, I'm just saying. So, but even for you to have that level of commitment in a community that is very difficult to date. I've never met your partner, but if I know that this is what he found, you're a lucky man to find it here in this area.
Amen.
Are you taken?
I am not.
Oh my God, I'm
And
so sorry.
struggling. If you are interested after listening to this podcast, I can be found on Instagram and Twitter at Vin Testa.
Spell that.
VINTESTA.
But also I'm going to ask you, because we are getting close to ending this session, and granted,
One of many.
No, yeah, it is one of many, definitely. But this is a prominent one, and I'm so glad so many things came out. But also, I just want to, go back to what tips would you offer people to
Yes.
need to one
All
because
right.
you shared your experience about coming out,
Mm-hmm.
and there were things that we didn't get a chance to explore here that we planned to. But what are those things that you growing up in a church and that you coming out on Facebook?
Yeah.
What would you what are your 3 top shots
My
of
3
inspiration?
shots.
That's right. We done took our shots. So
3
we're
shots.
done. What's your 3 shots of inspiration?
So to kind of wrap everything up, yes, I came out on social media, and yes, I was raised in a church, but I feel like in a completely separate conversation, I acknowledge this, growing up white in the church and growing up black in the church, but also growing up regionally in the church.
Are you white or
It's
mixed with something?
White, 100%,
Really? You
yeah.
look mixed with some
Well, but also I'll say, I appreciate you.
You do look,
Well,
maybe it's the look.
but also,
He's handsome though. He's handsome.
check the video.
Watch the video. Yeah.
But also,
Vin Testa, Instagram.
but also regionally. So when you say I grew up in the church, absolutely I did. I was raised Catholic my entire life, but it's different. So there's not that sense, despite what the greater church preaches, there wasn't a sense of like, I'm gay so I'm going to hell. You know, it was never that drastic. But bottom line is my 3 shots, I would say, number 1 is to 100% do things on your time. It is nobody else's opportunity, chance, responsibility.
Take one more of my
whatever.
shots, I'm gonna fuck you up.
Right. 100%.
Choose 2 and 3 wisely.
100% your time. It is nobody else's time or responsibility or ability to take it away from you. Whether that means coming out or just like embracing who you are as a person, regardless of sexuality. But obviously, mostly as it pertains to coming out. Number 2, once you have that ability to truly show, and again, I want this to transcend out of sexuality, when it is your chance to show your true self, whatever that may be, do it with full confidence and authenticity. Don't ever let anything else influence your decision to be yourself. Cause A, fuck the haters.
Yes.
B, you won't feel satisfaction until you are truly yourself.
Yes.
And then 3, I say this as an educator, I say this as somebody who's involved in so many different aspects of our community. Find something that makes you happy and do it to the fullest extent. Find something to be involved in, find something to just get excited about. Even if that's another human. Just find something that makes you excited and do it with your fullest energy.
The thing is, we didn't even get to kickball.
Right, we didn't even get to kickball.
More question.
What kickball?
We talked about religion, we talked about God Almighty.
But you know what? That's why there's always
There's always part 2. Part 2 coming
and so
soon.
For those, let me just say that unfortunately, Vin Testa has to leave us. That's an interesting name, Vin Testa.
I know, everybody always thinks it's one name.
I know, yeah, V-I-N and a separate last name, Testa, which is amazing.
Right? Just that Italian, baby.
Vin Testa.
Vin
You know what?
Testa.
But you know what?
That's good. That sounds like me, white
That's
privilege.
some good.
Alright, don't do that, bitch.
Another podcast.
Honestly, now, I'd be happy to talk about how privilege plays into everything.
But Vin has to go to work, so we're
Yes.
going to.
Made that money, hold on, made it make
We're
you.
going
I
to
love y'all.
Come on, Diamond.
While and still get the other last background information on the other guests. But in the interim,
Thank y'all.
we do thank you.
Thank you so much.
I will have you back.
We love you,
Absolutely,
man.
please.
I will have you
Thank
back.
you. I love y'all. Thank you.
Yes.
I will see you soon. Let me say goodbye. If you're watching the video, which you should be.
Where can they find
We're
you,
saying-
though? Where can they find you?
Instagram and Twitter, VINTESTA, all one word. But also Well, I don't want to.
Isn't his name sexy, y'all?
V-I-N.
Come to Cake Ball on Sunday.
I'm like
Yes.
Vin Diesel, but less Diesel.
Oh.
All right, I gotta go.
Hey.
And I'm saying goodbye to Bernice, my darling. All
Oh,
right, bye, y'all.
Okay.
Bye.
So let's round it off with some. Oh, okay. I thought you was. Well, I'm like, oh, where's it going? I
Get
thought you was
close to the
restaurant.
No.
Okay, so we can finish off with a shot of Herspiration for the other 3 guests. Possible 4 if she has some, but I doubt it. But I mean, do you feel like you want to have some, Miss Ebony Graham? Okay.
Oh, I see titty.
Hey. Follow me on something, Miss Graham.
And they soft and real, y'all. Motorboat. I got the key to the motorboat.
Okay, so no, but we are going to semi in this because trust me, the conversation will get going, and the only way you will catch up is if you watch on our YouTube channel at Herspiration. But in the interim, let's end the podcast with some other top 3 tips for, not for you all, but from our guests tonight. So I will start with Vic. Now, let me take that back.
Continue.
Dr. Vic Jones.
Doctor.
Doctor.
Y'all kicked on this.
You know what? No, hold on. First of all, I have to get
Dr. Vic is an edible. You better believe me.
And it would get you high. More than Tony Braxton.
Better know I'm about to sit out pictures later.
But I have to put first of all, before I do the introductions, I have to.
Go right yourself up who you are.
No, I have to get my Chadwick. No, Chadwick had his.
Yeah, already thank you.
Delilah voice.
Delilah,
Make you want to
His
snuggle up.
Delilah voice. So I am going to give off my Delilah voice. And I'm going to have Mr. And not even Mr. because he gave that up when he walked across that stage and accepted Doctor.
Yes.
So I am going to give it up for Dr. Victor Jones Jr.